She thought she was running away to her new man. But he was too busy begging his wife for forgiveness to ever speak to her again. That we met 4 years ago at a friend's barbecue. One of those late August evenings where the light hangs just long enough to make everyone look better than they are. She laughed too loud, had this way of holding eye contact just a second longer than normal. Her name was Clara. I remember thinking, she feels like home. 2 years later, she was home. We'd rented a small apartment near the river, painted the kitchen a color called morning fog, because she said it looked like calm. We split bills evenly, cooked dinner together, and had this little system. She'd handle groceries, I'd handle the dishes. We weren't dramatic. We were stable, predictable. At least, that's what I thought. Her job in marketing kept her busy, but I never questioned it. I was in software development, remote, mostly, which meant I was home a lot. Sometimes too much. She'd tease me about being a house cat. I'd tease her about marrying her laptop. It was all good fun, until it wasn't. It started small. She began mentioning her boss more. Ethan said this. Ethan wants me on that campaign. Ethan's hilarious. The first few times, I didn't think twice. Everyone has that one coworker they click with. But then, she started dressing differently for work. Not drastically, just more deliberate. Hair done on casual Fridays. Lipstick that used to come out only on date nights. I noticed she kept her phone face down. That was new. When I joked about it, she said, "Oh my God, stop. He's just my boss." And maybe that should have been enough. Maybe for most people, it would be. But something about how she said it, a little too rehearsed, too sharp, stuck with me. The late nights came next. Campaign deadlines, she said. Brainstorm sessions. But when I asked about her coworkers, the names never matched up. One night, she mentioned a team dinner at a place I knew. I asked what she ordered. She couldn't remember. I don't know why, but that one detail, not remembering dinner, hit me harder than it should have. You can rationalize a lot when you love someone. I told myself I was being insecure. I told myself she was just ambitious, that I should be proud. And then came the night she left her laptop open. It was around midnight. She'd fallen asleep on the couch after another work emergency. The screen was on, dimmed, Slack notifications pinging quietly in the corner. I don't know what made me move closer. Instinct, maybe. Or self-preservation. The messages weren't hidden. They weren't even coded. Weeks of them. Photos from business trips that weren't real. Conversations full of inside jokes that excluded me. Flirty comments. Memes I'd never seen her laugh at. And then, in a private chat with a name I recognized. Ethan, work. A thread that shattered the last bit of denial I had left. He thinks I'm working late again, faced with tears of joy. You'll sneak out after he falls asleep, right? Yeah. Can't wait to actually wake up next to you for once. My body went cold. It wasn't anger, not yet, just this dull, electric emptiness crawling up my spine. I kept scrolling. The timestamps went back months. Every message, every emoji, another quiet knife. Then one line stopped me. Once I move in with you, I'll block him from everything. He'll get over it. Move in. I don't remember sitting down, but I was in the kitchen suddenly, staring at the floor tiles. My chest felt hollow. The refrigerator hummed too loud. I didn't yell. I didn't wake her up. I opened my laptop, connected her phone through iMessage Sync, and started saving. Every message, every file, every photo. I made 3 copies, one on a drive, one in cloud storage, one printed out. Then I found Ethan's LinkedIn. His wife's Facebook was linked right there. They had kids. Family photos from Disneyland last summer. Captions about being blessed. It took me 15 minutes to write the message. Not out of hesitation, out of care. I wanted it to be clear, factual, unambiguous. Hi. You don't know me, but I think you deserve to know what your husband's been doing during those late nights at the office. I'm not sending this out of spite, but because I'd want someone to tell me if the roles were reversed. Then I attached everything. Screenshots, dates, photos, receipts. I didn't send it yet. Not that night. I sat there, watching her sleep. The same woman who once made me playlists for when I felt anxious, who used to draw little hearts in the grocery list margins. And I realized the person I loved didn't exist anymore. At 4:37 a.m., I hit send. She didn't know yet. Not that morning. Not when she kissed my cheek on her way out. But by the time she reached the office, her life, and his, were already unraveling. She came home that night humming. That was the first thing that hit me, how ordinary it all sounded. Her keys in the door, The sound of her boots on the entryway tiles, her soft hum of some song she probably heard on the radio. She dropped her bag, slipped off her coat, and said, "Hey babe, sorry I'm late. Traffic was insane." I was sitting at the table. The lights were low. My laptop was open, the drive with all her messages neatly labeled beside it. "Long day?" I asked. She nodded, still distracted, already scrolling through her phone. "You have no idea. Ethan's been." She froze mid-sentence, glancing up at me. Something in my tone must have been off. I took a slow breath. His poor wife knows everything. Her phone slipped from her hand. "What?" I didn't raise my voice. "You heard me." For a few seconds, there was just the sound of her breathing, shallow, panicked, confused. Her face went pale, like she'd been punched. She opened her mouth, closed it, then finally stammered. You didn't. You wouldn't." "I would," I said. And I did. She tried to talk, but her throat seemed to lock up. I pushed a suitcase toward her, neatly packed, everything folded, toiletries included. Her eyes darted to it, then back to me. "I figured you'd want to stay somewhere else tonight," I said. "The locks are already changed." Her voice cracked. "You went through my messages?" I almost laughed. "That's what you're worried about." She reached for me, like that one small gesture could erase months of deceit, and I stepped back. She started crying, the kind of sob that used to make me want to hold her. Now it just sounded like background noise. "It wasn't," she choked. "It wasn't serious, I swear. It was stupid, it was." "Was it stupid when you booked hotel rooms under his name? When you laughed about me not noticing? When you told him you were moving in together?" I asked. "Help me understand where stupid ends and deliberate begins." She just stood there, shaking. I kept talking, not to argue, but to fill the space. "His wife sent me a message back, by the way. She says she's grateful," I told her. "Said she kind of knew, but didn't have proof." I looked at her then, really looked at her. This woman I thought I'd grow old with, and felt nothing but relief. "You'll understand when she's done with him." She sank to the floor, covering her face. "Please, please, I can fix this." "You can't." And I walked away. I went to the bedroom, now my bedroom, shut the door, and sat down. My hands were steady, too steady. I'd expected to feel something. Anger, maybe. Triumph. But all I felt was quiet. I heard her crying, packing the last few things. Then the door closing. The kind of sound that means something is truly, irreversibly over. I didn't move for a long time. When I finally stood, it was because my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Wife, Ethan's, thank you for showing me. You did the right thing. He's staying at his brother's tonight. Divorce papers are coming." That was it. No drama. No threats. Just cold clarity. I looked at the apartment. Her cup still on the counter. Her perfume in the air. A half-finished grocery list on the fridge that said pasta, basil, maybe wine. I threw it away. That night, I slept on my side of the bed, or maybe my half just became the whole. I thought I'd lie awake, but I didn't. I fell asleep instantly, like my body had been waiting months for permission to rest. In the morning, I made coffee. Checked my phone again. A few unread messages from her. Long, panicked ones. "Please talk to me." "It wasn't what you think." "You don't understand." I was confused. I didn't reply. She thought she was running to a new life, a new man, a better story. But Ethan wasn't replying either. His account was deactivated. His LinkedIn updated to currently seeking new opportunities. And me? I just smiled. Not out of cruelty, but peace. Because I finally understood something she never did. When you betray someone who loves quietly, you never hear them explode. You just wake up one day and realize they've erased you completely. Update 1. I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. It's been about 3 weeks since that night. 3 strange, quiet, clean weeks. You'd be surprised how much silence a home can hold after someone leaves. Like the walls themselves start breathing differently. The apartment feels bigger, emptier, but not lonely. More like it's healing. I got a few messages from mutual friends the first week. You can always tell who heard her side first. Their texts had that just checking in tone that actually means, "We heard something and want your version." Apparently, she told people I overreacted after finding harmless flirtation, that I'd invaded her privacy and sent personal stuff to her boss's family. I didn't argue. I didn't post screenshots. I didn't correct anyone. Because people like proof, and sooner or later, proof shows itself. By the second week, it did. Ethan was suspended pending internal investigation. Someone in their office leaked an HR memo. Nothing too detailed, just enough to confirm that something inappropriate happened. A few of her coworkers unfollowed her on social media. She locked all her accounts soon after. I kept my distance, blocked her number, muted the few mutuals who couldn't stop gossiping. My therapist told me something that stuck. Peace isn't revenge. It's choosing not to re-enter the noise. But peace doesn't mean absence of consequences. Last Tuesday, I got a knock at the door. It was her, Clara. She looked smaller. Not physically, just dimmer. Hair unbrushed, eyes red, voice trembling. "Can we talk?" she asked. I didn't invite her in. I stood in the doorway. She started explaining before I could say anything. How she'd been emotionally confused. How Ethan said things that weren't true. How she never planned to actually leave. I let her talk. For 7 minutes, I didn't interrupt. I just watched her unravel the story she'd built to survive the guilt. When she finally stopped, I said, "You're not here to fix anything. You're here to make me forgive you so you can feel like a good person again." She didn't deny it. She just started crying again. Then she said the line that will probably echo in my head for years. "I don't even know who I am anymore." And for the first time since everything happened, I felt something close to empathy. Not for what she did, but for how completely she'd lost herself in the lie. I told her, "Then that's your work now. Figuring that out. Without me." She nodded. Didn't fight. Didn't beg. Just turned and walked down the hall. I closed the door quietly this time. No anger left. Just air. Later that night, I got an email from Ethan's wife again. Short, professional, almost clinical. "Divorce proceedings are in motion. Thank you again. I'm sorry for what you went through." I didn't reply. Not out of rudeness. Just because there was nothing left to say. Now, I'm moving in 2 weeks. New apartment, new city. Smaller place, closer to the water. No shared drawers, no ghosts in the kitchen. Sometimes I catch myself missing the version of her I used to know. But then I remember, that version only existed in my head. The real one was sitting in front of me that night, crying not because she lost me, but because she got caught. And that's the part that hurts the most. Realizing that what you thought was love was really just your own reflection, projected onto someone else's mask. Still, I'm okay. I'm not bitter, not angry, just done. Maybe one day I'll tell this story to someone new. Maybe I won't. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. When someone shows you who they are, don't wait for the encore, final update. It's been 8 months since everything happened. I almost didn't write this, but a few people messaged asking for closure, and maybe I needed it too. I moved cities like I said I would. Got a small apartment by the water. Old bricks, uneven floors, smells like coffee and rain in the mornings. The kind of place where no one knows who you were before. The first few weeks were disorienting. I kept expecting to hear her keys in the lock or her laugh from another room. Grief has a way of echoing even when the person you're missing doesn't deserve the space. You don't realize how many invisible routines you share until they're gone. 2 toothbrushes by the sink. 2 coffee cups. 2 towels drying on the same hook. And then, one day, you catch yourself realizing you only need one of everything. Work's been stable. I got a promotion, finally started saying no to projects that drain me. I go running most mornings, not to escape thoughts, but because my body feels lighter now. My therapist says I've integrated the experience. It sounds sterile, but I know what she means. I stopped replaying the betrayal like a movie I couldn't turn off. Still, sometimes it sneaks in. A song she used to play in the kitchen. A random scent that smells like her shampoo. Then the old anger flickers, not burning, just there, like a scar that itches in the rain. I saw her once, about 2 months ago. By accident. I was grabbing coffee downtown, waiting for my order, and she walked in. Same hair, but shorter, thinner. Nervous energy in her movements. She saw me before I saw her, froze mid-step, like she'd seen a ghost. She came over. We talked. Not about us, not really. About surface things, work, family, the weather. Her voice had that brittle brightness people use when they're trying not to shatter. Eventually, she said, "I heard you moved. Are you happier?" I said, "I'm at peace." She nodded slowly, smiled in that small, sad way that used to break me. Then she whispered, "I'm glad you told her. I hate that it took losing everything to realize what I'd become." I didn't say much after that. What could I say? I wasn't there to punish her. She'd already done that herself. Before leaving, she said, "I hope someone loves you the way you loved me. Just not me." And that was the first time she'd ever told the truth without trying to save herself. She left, and I haven't seen her since. I walked home that day thinking about how weird justice feels up close. It's not triumph. It's not revenge. It's quiet, heavy, lonely sometimes. Because when you finally get what you wanted, the truth, the clean break, the vindication, it doesn't fill the space that love once occupied. It just sits there, like a stone on your chest that reminds you. You survived, but not unchanged. Now, when I think about her, I don't feel hate. Just a strange kind of distance, like remembering someone from another lifetime. And sometimes, late at night, when the wind rattles the windows, I think about the moment I said, his poor wife knows everything. Back then, it felt like an ending. Now I realize it was just the start of something else. Not forgiveness, exactly, but understanding. Because some people come into your life to teach you how to love, and others to teach you when to let go.